everybody, lovely to have you with me and thank you for joining me. It's Carol at Oak House Journals and another Margarete Miller collage today. I'm going to do assignment 27 of her collage challenge of 2025. So the prompts for this week: an image of the moon. I have these little moon phase stickers here and I've got various choices here that I could use. Probably would go with the one off the top, so I'm just going to lift that one out. And also I've got more in here, but they're a little bit darker. I've also got this little one, and this is an image of a face in the moon, or supposed to be that, a representation. I really like this. It's something different, a little bit quirky, so I'm leaning towards using this one rather than something serious like this sticker, but I've got both to play with. The next prompt is something local to you. Well, you probably recognise this. This is a radio telescope, and just up the road from me, about 20 minutes away, is a observatory called Jodrell Bank, and it's primarily a radio astrological facility used for scientific research, for example, tracking space satellites, observing celestial objects and undertaking astrological experiments, and it's famous for its landmark radio telescopes. So this is an image of one of those at night. The next prompt is something that represents communication. Well, I've got one or two items here that will fall into that category, not least this one, but I've chosen to go with an antique telephone. The next prompt is a map or an atlas page. Well, this is a first day cover, and as you can see, I've got a map here, so I will be using that. Something with a spiral shape. Well, another means of communication is post, so I'm going to be using that. And the something that represents a spiral is one of these 2-cent stamps. So I'm just going to rip one of these out of here. And I was thinking something along the lines of snail mail. So I'm going to put that one in front of me so I don't lose it. And then finally, bonus, something with lines. Well, I've got this card here, and writing is another means of communication, but I'm using this for the lines prompt. Not necessarily this side. I probably will use this side. I've also got this. This is an image looking down on top of spools of thread in a Lancashire mill. Now, tentatively, I could argue that these are lines of spools of thread, but also they hold lines of thread, or they hold a continuous line of thread. So I think that I could work that in under the final bonus prompt for the word lines. Not sure which one I want to use, whether this one or this one, which is more obvious, but I love the colours on here, so I'm going to do my damnedest to work that one in. Okay, so prompts as always in front of me, and let's see what I can make a start with. And I'm going to go with this one, and I'm going to just put it on here and audition it as it is. I'm thinking that I will like it that way best, and anything that I can do to get that in, I will do my best to keep it. I want to cover up that, and I don't want this, so I'm probably going to try and have that up there and staggered a bit. Bring that down. I'm going to have a look and see what these look like. Now, I'm going to have it this way round because at the top here I've got some orange spools of thread. That little section of orange up there interests me because of the orange that's reflecting off the radio telescope there. It's got a white border, which I'll probably trim away, but for now I'm just going to pop it in here, see what it looks like. I'm not going to take it right over to the right hand border because I'd like to have this staggered. I can work to cover that up, maybe have that on there to cover up that stamp, or I could just cut that away, but I am liking the fact that I've got the bottom of the envelope showing. So I could do something like that, pull that across, maybe drop that down. I'm not going to stick this stamp on here yet because I don't know whether I'm going to have it on the top like that, And that's quite an interesting arrangement, although I'm not liking so much of this zigzag showing. Or what I could do is I could pop it underneath, stagger it slightly to break up that bottom section, and then put that on the top. I want to keep this writing in as well. And another reason I like this stamp is because it's the right colour tones to pick up my night sky, and also I've got blue in it, which is picking up the blue of that. At the moment my eye is going to that, but then it's bouncing up to this, which is quite colourful, even though you're not seeing that much of it. Okay, I'm going to pause here a second, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out my face here. I'm quite liking that, although that is a bit big. I could trim it down a little bit, but I do know that this is smaller, as you can see. And also it's quirkier, and as I said, I'm leaning towards using that one today rather than going with serious. So yes, I'm going to stop here now for a moment. I still want to audition this, but I want to go away and I want to fussy cut my telephone out and my man in the moon face. So I'll do that and then I'll be back. So I've cut out my telephone and I've just popped it on here along this left hand edge. And I'm actually quite liking that. I think I want to have it higher so that I can get a bit of this envelope showing down at the bottom. I don't want to obscure that too much. Maybe having something like that so that it's actually going onto the map a little bit. And that feels quite nice to me. I think that's going to work. Not so sure about this. It's a little bit busy. And this, I could have that in there like that. But I want to put it up there, and I think this is too big. I'm going to take this out for now, and I'm going to put this in, and I think that's softer, less intrusive. I'm not liking this line here, even though it's lining up with the map, so I would trim that away. And I probably would trim off that top a little bit just to smooth it out. It's quite raggedy at the moment. If I trimmed that away, this portion here, then I'd have some nice staggering. I could maybe trim it to there even, or even trim away that line as well. Okay, I'm going to go with this one. It seems to be, as I say, less intrusive, and it blends nicely with this map here. And I have a nice rule of 3 going with the blue here, the blue on here, and the blue on the map. So yeah, I think I'm going to go with more or less what I've got here as it is, and do that bit of trimming of the lines. This is the bit that I don't really like. Can I get rid of that down here somewhere? Maybe pop it in there, take that away. It's not ideal. Okay, what about popping that in there? Oh, and that works quite nicely. Just going to take that away and see if that works. And I like that, it's less fussy. It does feel a bit odd having it there on its own, but I do like it. Could we do that? And that would work as well. I still have the issue of that stamp there, but I could do maybe something like that. Leave that there. Then you've just got a hint of that peeping down below. And if I pull that down, I could have more lines showing. Just going to move that back down to here. Don't like that showing so much, but if I pull this up, then I get more of that stamp showing. Let's have a look anyway. And I think that's how I'm going to have it, everybody. So I'm going to put some glue onto these pieces now. Okay. So with this, I'm going to trim off this black line here, and I'm going to trim away this little margin here up to that line. I'm going to bring it down a little bit, push that over so that the right hand line is just edging up with the envelope there. Not liking this little bit peeping out the bottom, so I'm going to trim off that. So I'm going to just put some glue behind this. And now I have to decide what I'm going to do with this, whether I'm having that, ooh, I've glued that down and I might have wanted to put that underneath. So I'm just going to ease that up before it sticks. I think I'm just going to have that tucked in there behind, just a hint of it in there. I wonder if I can chop that down a little bit. Bring in my glue book so that I can glue this onto my background. And there we go, everybody. That's my finished piece for this week, which is week 27, and bringing in the prompts. An image of a moon. Well, I actually went with this moon sticker up here in the end. Something local to you. Well, my Jodrell Bank Observatory image here of a radio telescope. Something that represents communication. Well, this primarily is what I chose to represent communication, which is my telephone. But also I've got my stamp down here that represents communication. This is communication because it's a radio telescope. And also writing on these lines here would be communication. And obviously the envelope, snail mail, that's communication. So near enough everything on here is communication in one way or another, but this is what I chose to represent that prompt. A map or atlas page. Well, I went with a map, and I went with this little image here of a map. And in hindsight, I think I probably would have been better actually dropping the map down under behind this image here, but I didn't. So I do have a little gap up there. It's not too bad, but I think it might have flowed a little bit better had I dropped it down behind this image. And then finally something with a spiral shape. Well, I went with my shell down here, and the bonus prompt was lines. Well, I went with that card up here that you write on to record goods in and out when a delivery is made, or a stock card of some sort. Thank you so much as always, everybody, for watching. Close-up photos again as always at the end for you to have a look at, and I hope to see you in the next video. And if you're tackling these prompts yourself this week, good luck. So bye bye from me, everybody. Bye bye now.